A neighbor noticed something strange. Music had been playing nonstop for more than 24 hours. Not loud enough to sound like a party, not quiet enough to ignore. Just the same music looping endlessly coming from behind a locked apartment door in New York City's Lower East Side. No one answered knocks, no movement, no voices. Eventually, a wellness check was called in. When authorities entered the apartment, they found Peter Green dead. He was 60 years old. And almost immediately, the internet did what it always does when a familiar face disappears without warning. People asked questions, filled in blanks, replayed scenes from movies they hadn't thought about in years. Because Peter Green wasn't just another actor. He was that guy. The one who made you uncomfortable without raising his voice. The one who could walk into a scene and silently shift the entire mood of a movie. The one whose presence lingered long after the credits rolled. And fittingly, his story ended the same way many of his most haunting roles began. Quietly, unexpectedly, with more questions than answers. According to reports, Peter Green was found deceased in his Manhattan apartment on Friday, December 12th. His manager, Greg Edwards, confirmed the news, explaining that concern grew when music continued playing inside the apartment for over a full day. A neighbor finally contacted authorities, leading to the wellness check. There were no immediate signs of foul play, and as of now, no official cause of death has been released. That lack of answers is exactly what fueled speculation online. Some people jumped to conclusions, others urged caution. Many couldn't stop thinking about one unsettling detail that appeared in every report: the music. There's something deeply disturbing about the idea of sound continuing in a space where life has already stopped. It feels cinematic, almost scripted. And for a man whose career was built on unforgettable on-screen moments, it somehow feels tragically fitting. But before the theories, before the headlines, before the rumors, there's a more important question that deserves attention. Who was Peter Green before he became one of Hollywood's most recognizable villains? Peter Green was born in Montclair, New Jersey, in October of 1965. His early life was anything but stable. As a teenager, reports say he ran away from home. For a period of time, he was homeless, surviving on the streets of New York City, the same city where his life would eventually come full circle decades later. This wasn't a polished child actor story. There was no Hollywood pipeline, no industry grooming. Peter Green didn't pursue acting seriously until his mid-20s. He didn't come from privilege. He came from survival. And that matters. Because when people later talked about how real his performances felt, that intensity wasn't manufactured. It came from lived experience. In the early 1990s, Green began landing small television roles. One episode here, one scene there. Nothing flashy. But casting directors noticed something unusual. He didn't act like someone pretending to be dangerous. He acted like someone who understood it. Then came 1994. Quentin Tarantino released Pulp Fiction, and even among a cast filled with iconic performances, Peter Green's role as Zed carved out a place in movie history that still unsettles audiences today. Without being loud, without being exaggerated, without theatrical villain speeches, his performance was calm, casual, and that's what made it disturbing. It didn't feel like acting. It felt real. Decades later, people still reference that scene, still react the same way, still say, "That guy made my skin crawl." But here's what most viewers don't realize. That role wasn't the peak of his career. It was the beginning of a very specific lane. The same year Pulp Fiction hit theaters, Peter Green appeared in The Mask. Completely different tone. Bright colors, over-the-top comedy. Jim Carrey bounced off the walls. But Green's villain, Dorian Tyrell, stayed grounded, cold, controlled. While everyone else went big, Peter Green went quiet. And somehow, that made him even more threatening. Hollywood took notice. From that point on, Peter Green became the actor directors called when they needed someone who felt authentically dangerous. He appeared in The Usual Suspects,
then Blue Streak, then Training Day. In Training Day, he played a detective caught in moral compromise. No grand speeches, no dramatic breakdowns, just one chilling line that fans still quote years later. That was his specialty. He didn't dominate screen time, he haunted it. While some actors chase fame, Peter Green built something else: longevity. He kept working, kept showing up, kept getting cast when a story needed someone believable in the shadows. But here's where the story changes, because almost everyone who worked with Peter Green said the same thing. Off-screen, he wasn't what you'd expect. His manager described him as gentle, generous, the kind of person who would give you the shirt off his back. Friends said he cared deeply for others. That contradiction followed him his entire career. Intimidating on screen, kind off camera. But it also masked deeper struggles. Over the years, reports surfaced about Green's battles with addiction. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, his life reportedly became unstable at times. Arrests, rehab stints, setbacks that affected both his personal life and professional momentum. At one point, reports say he attempted to take his own life before later seeking treatment. These details aren't meant to be sensationalized. They matter because they explain something important. Peter Green didn't disappear because audiences forgot him. He stepped in and out of the industry while fighting battles most people never saw. And despite those struggles, he kept coming back. What many casual fans don't realize is that Peter Green never truly stopped working. He appeared in shows like Life on Mars, Chicago PD, For Life, and The Black Donnellys. More recently, he appeared in The Continental, the John Wick prequel series, introducing him to a whole new generation of viewers. In 2025, he even appeared in an episode of Dope Thief. According to his manager, Green had upcoming projects lined up: an independent film called Mascots, a documentary he was set to narrate. This wasn't a forgotten actor. This was a working one, which makes his death even harder to process. December 12th, Lower East Side, Manhattan. Music playing, door locked, no response. When authorities entered the apartment, Peter Green was gone. No cause of death announced, no public explanation, and until that changes, anything beyond confirmed facts is speculation. But what is undeniable is how abruptly his story ended. No farewell post, no final interview, no goodbye, just silence, with music still playing. Peter Green will always be remembered as one of Hollywood's most unsettling villains, but that label only tells half the story. He was also a survivor, a fighter, a man who carried both darkness and compassion in equal measure. He is survived by a sister and brother, and his performances live on, still disturbing, still powerful, still impossible to forget. Because some actors don't fade when they leave the screen, they linger, and Peter Green was one of them. Here's the part that should bother you. Peter Green spent his career playing men everyone swears they'd recognize in real life, the dangerous ones, the cold ones, the people you're supposed to stay away from. But when his real life ended, it didn't look like a movie scene. No cameras, no dramatic moment, no final words, just music playing while nobody noticed he was already gone. And that raises an uncomfortable question. Do actors like Peter Green get quietly forgotten once they stop being useful to the industry? Or is this simply a tragic reminder that fame doesn't protect anyone when the lights turn off? And one last question people avoid asking. If this had been a bigger name, would it have taken 24 hours for someone to notice? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments, not the polite ones. This isn't gossip, this is reality. Because Peter Green played villains for a living, but the way his story ended might say more about us than it does about him.